that was that. So I want to like just show how to build a very simple FastAPI application using Okteto and deploying to Okteto using CLI. So first things first, we need to make sure you have an Okteto account. I do have one already, right? So you can create one here by just logging in. So I already have one, and you need to have the CLI too, but I have everything installed at the moment, so I'll just go directly to building the application. So the first thing I need to do is set up a virtual environment, and I'm just going to add an interpreter from here. Also, you could use PyCharm to just develop directly with Okteto, but that is going to be for another day, probably. So I'm just going to be very simple, like to do application, or just like a simple like CRUD app that creates, updates, reads and deletes resources depending on the endpoints that is called and the method, the HTTP method that is passed to it. So, of course, okay. So it seems, let's see. Okay, since our virtual environment is not yet set up, okay, so we're going to change it to this, right? Okay, good. So since I'm using FastAPI, I will have to install UVCon, an ASGI server, so I can run my application. So I'm going to like install FastAPI and UVCon, right? Good. So I'm going to like, because I don't want to manually write requirements.txt. Good. Okay. With that in place, I need to create a folder where I'll store my application, right? So this is how my project directory looks at the moment here. Good. So I want an entry point. So probably when I'm writing my Docker file, I'm just going to like start my application from running my entry points, and I'm going to call that main.py. Right. Then I'm going to, create. Oh, sorry. I was supposed to make an application directory, so I have two directories, fm and this, and I'm going to make an API file here. This thing looks good in place. And so the first thing, so like I said, we're going to like develop this in Okteto CLI and deploy also with Okteto. So the first thing I want to do is say the Okteto up command allows us to like live code basically. What I mean by live coding is that you get your changes automatically synchronized from your IDE to your cluster. So I think that's a very good one to experiment and we could like try that. But before that, we need to like make sure like the installation and everything we have locally is correct. So I'm going to like import FastAPI, right? And I'm going to have an instance of FastAPI here, and I'm going to have a basic. Like when you get to this point, what should you do? Something like say welcome, and I want you to return message like maybe welcome to this live stream, right? Okay, so this is it, and at this point this is where I define my entry points. When I mean defining my entry points, we're going to use UVCon. I already said UVCon is going to allow us to run our application, so what I'm going to do is an instance of run. I'm going to have to this is how the format works. The first argument of the run method is the location of your file or where the instance of your application is, and in this case it is in our API.py file, which is this is the instance of FastAPI. And so we're going to say application, which is a folder, then API, which is a file, a colon, the instance. So this is the instance which you defined, right? So of course we need to put this to our host, and we're going to use this. You could use any host that works for you, but normally it's this host, and the port is going to be port 8080, and we don't want to always manually reload, so we set this to true. So now we want to like test this is working, so let's like run this, and okay, so we have this, and we have the message, welcome to this live stream. Good. So now I want to like have an idea of how this will look like in a cluster. But what I need to do, so the first thing you need to understand is like every cloud, or should I say like most cloud like platforms, you need to like ship your applications in containers so you can run them independently. So with that in mind, we need to like have a basic Docker file, right? Sorry. So we have a Docker file here, and because we're using Python 3 points, let's say 3.8, right? So we want to add requirements to requirements.txt. We want to add main.py. We also want to add Docker file to Docker file. What else do we need to add? Okay, we want to add we're going to expose port 8080, right? We want to copy everything that is here to app, and we're going to like, okay, before that we need to install like run pip install and our requirements .txt. I hope I'm getting this in the right format. Yeah, so I'm going to like, this is a command python 3 main.py, because this is our entry point, so we can't just do this, isn't it? So to use Okteto up now, it's going to like throw an error because it doesn't exist. Like, we need an Okteto manifest to be able to use this. So I'm going to like create one. Why? So I have a couple of applications, so I'm just going to use for values for this one. And so we have an Okteto manifest. And when you run Okteto up, a persistence volume is created for you. What this means is that when you close your developer environment and you want to start again, you can pick up from where you like stopped. So let's see if this works, if we were able to do things the right way. So we couldn't connect. Okay, yeah, port is already in use, so we are going to like stop this and run this again. Okay. Synchronizing files. Good. So we have this right now. We need to create virtual environments, and this command does that. And when that is done, we need to like activate our virtual environments. So we do source, then being activate, right? Then we install pip as our requirements.txt, right? One interesting thing is how fast containers are in Okteto. The dev environment is pretty fast, so we've done this. So the next thing is to like see for entry points works pretty well. So we have this. Good. So when we check this, it works locally, and this is from a cluster. Now to verify, I'm going to like check my Okteto cluster. So this is the dev environment. As you can see, it was last created a minute ago. Last updated and it was created a minute ago. And it's the memory, and this is the amount of CPUs I'm using. So when I come back here, it's the same thing. So to verify that this is synchronizing, we're going to create another route and say, maybe when you get verify, you're going to define verify, and we're going to have maybe return message. And we're going to say don't doubt zero, right? When you go back here, and from here you say verify, get the message don't doubt Okteto. When you go back to the local one too and you run verify, you have the same message. So this shows that both locally and your development container it is synchronized.